Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at a brand new Tier 9 Premium as a part of this Naval Legacy event. There's 3 ships. Today we're taking a look at the Cambridge. This is the American heavy cruiser, and it's got 305s. Essentially, this is a Tulsa with a gun swap, alongside a Salem superheel. You don't have a radar anymore, but this ship is absolutely incredible. Having cruiser dispersion on American 305s. You have the same AP and HE as you would get on Alaska. So that means we have improved pen angle 305s with cruiser dispersion. This thing is very, very strong. And how you can get it? Part of this Naval Legacy event is going to be an Admiral bundle. Unfortunately, we don't have a regular purchase price for this one, just bundled with a bunch of stuff you don't really need for $138 US. Yikes, that is expensive. Of course, there's always a gambling option these days, but I would never recommend you do that. If you want this ship, I know it's a lot, but I would recommend you buy it outright. Who knows how unlucky you get on the whole gambling side of things. But as for this ship, we do have Tulsa hull, which means we only have 27 millimeters of armor. So if, say, a Missouri walks around the corner on us, we are not going to be auto-bouncing this. And I need you to pay attention to our HP pool here, alongside the insane amount of damage we're about to do. We don't actually heal back all that much HP. A super heal sounds great, and it is good in these situations, but notice we only heal back 50% of that damage that we just took, which is still a lot. But it means we don't get through all of our heals most efficiently. This is not a ship where you're going to use all that healing every game. You just can't. Improved pen angles there, ensuring that we always get full pens, or over pens in that case as well. Unfortunately, no citadels. I don't think I aimed low enough. Oh look, burst fire 406 now. Tier 9's got a little rough. Fortunately, we survived the Plasma, and we hit them back for some citadels. At least if that thing gets caught broadside, you are going to be able to citadel it. And just like that, we've taken out 2 ships that should just be able to overmatch right through us, and somehow survived. This is a ship that will be incredibly dangerous because you will get into positions like this one most games thanks to its amazing concealment. It's about a midway point between Tulsa and Des Moines as far as your concealment goes. 9.9 is excellent. For 305s, cruiser dispersion 305s with improved pen angles, this is absolutely crazy. For example, Alaska gets like 2 or 3 kilometers worse detect than this, and that ship does have better armor, yes, and it has a radar, but it also has worse DPM. You would think maybe that they gave it cruiser dispersion with worse DPM, and that way the effective DPM is a little bit higher, for example. But nope, that's not what they decided to do with it. You have 123,000 HE DPM, 256,000 AP DPM, which we should mostly be using the AP on a ship like this one. And Alaska has 116,000 HE DPM, 240,000 AP DPM. And Alaska's been removed for being too popular. We all know that means it was too good, right? And this one's just better at the gun power. Again, worse armor though, and no radar is going to be your major downsides. But better concealment, consistency out of these main guns is incredible. It reminds us a bit of a Tier 10 research barrow ship, the Brennus. Been taking a look at those recently. We've basically gone through them all at this point. And Brennus is a Henry with 305s with cruiser dispersion. That ship has 132,000 HE DPM, 270,000 AP DPM. It's a tier higher than us, and we're just barely behind it on DPM. That's a little bit crazy. This ship also gets improved pen angles, as mentioned, on that AP. Brennus does not. And something that is really missing on Brennus, which feels a little awkward at times, is that ship does not have a hydro. Doesn't have a reload booster either, but that's more of a French ship thing that I'm missing out on. But if we're comparing cruiser dispersion 305 ships here, why does this one get a hydro too? Feels like a little power creep, don't you think? At least when it comes to the damage output of these main guns. We only have 16 kilometers of range. This is a cruiser after all, which gets overmatched by pretty much everything it faces. That is a very difficult ship to play. Cruisers aren't easy at these tiers to play with. And while you have incredible guns, keeping your ship alive is going to be the big challenge. If you're trying to farm with this ship from range, the 16 kilometers is definitely usable. because we have Alaska guns. But Alaska comes with 19 kilometers of range. So if you're getting into this passive meta and you struggle to apply pressure to enemy teams, look for ways to push in to get closer to enemy teams, this is going to be a hard ship for you to play because you will get punished if you get caught out in the wrong place at the wrong time. While this heal will save you a couple times, notice we've only used 2 heals so far, and my third heal here is not going to be 100% effective. And I don't think maybe our first heal was effective because we took so much damage from that Missouri. But our second one, I'm not sure about it being fully efficient. And I'm not taking Superintendent here. So we could get a 4th heal yet. And I don't think it would be terribly useful. Maybe it would still to help us stay alive a little bit longer. But that is a downside. Don't think of this as a Minotaur level super heal. It is not. It's like Salem, where it is a benefit when you take a large burst of damage and they need to heal back a lot quickly. But over the duration of a game, it's not like you're getting a ton more healing than a standard heal. You will get a little bit more, but it's nowhere near the level of, say, a Minotaur heal. Not having a radar is also a massive downside. If you're used to playing with the American cruiser lines at all, having a radar is such a big deal for your battle impact. A ship like this one with this hull plays so well with islands. Your shell velocity being a little bit lower, it's still better than the 203s that you find on Des Moines and Salem, Tulsa and that. But a little bit slower shell velocity allows you to arc over islands quite effectively, allowing you to play around them very nicely. And with that, you're often pushing up to where islands are near caps. And not having a radar is a big downside to a ship like this one. I think it's warranted considering the gunpowder on display here. It's a bit more selfish of a ship in that regard. You definitely still can help out on those DD engagements. You just can't be the one spotting for them. Our Hydro here just about to go down here. Unfortunate timing as the gearing is up on our broadside. We will finish off that Schlieffen though. Notice just how consistent we're hitting almost every shell out of our main guns here. Our hit rate is absolutely ridiculous on this ship. Way, way over 50%. And I'll show you the end scores if you want to see that further. Destroyer, close range. Our turret traverse, a little bit slow, trying to keep up. But at these ranges, yeah, it's just going to be 6 out of 6 hits every single time. It is that good. We're trying to slow down and turn away. I'm worried about the GK salvo. You can dodge a lot of incoming fire here. While we do have a Tulsa hull in many ways, rudder shift is not one of them. That's what really allows us to dodge a lot of these salvos. We have the same turning radius, but an 8.7 second rudder, where Tulsa's is at 10.5. Tulsa now gets the 25-degree firing angles, though, which are really nice, and as well as destroyer dispersion on that one now. We don't have that here with the Cambridge, but at least cruiser dispersion on 305s is still amazing feeling. And the firing angles being 30 degrees forward, 29 degrees backwards is still very, very comfortable. And I'm going to skip past it pretty quickly, but if you want to pause there and look at our hit rate, it is absolutely wild. We got more to take a look at, though. As soon as you get into any sort of down tier, look out. Look out. 305s, I mean, this is basically battleship level guns, able to sneak up to these really close positions, catching people off guard extremely well. This poor enemy rune is going to have a very, very bad day. While we don't overmatch him, our pen angles are just so good that it really doesn't matter all that much. Hawk here taking a very aggressive route. I'm hoping I can fire over this island. I'm a little bit concerned I can't, and I don't reposition my guns. He turned out just a little bit there, and unfortunately I think 2 of our guns went low. Torp protection hit probably landed in the water and then hit his torp protection. We definitely have the pen to get through him. I just should have done a better job of aiming for him. But this rune about to go broadside. He's got 43,000 HP. Our front 2 turrets get us 12,000. Not too bad. As we get our rear turret in a line 2, maybe we can get ourselves a little dev strike here. Test ships don't give you the medals though, unfortunately. Here the dispersion doesn't look so good, and yet that's still a triple citadel. Poor Rune, man. What is he supposed to do in a situation like that? I guess not get caught bow in is the answer. And that's how we get more and more passive games, of course. If the answer is don't get caught, well, then everyone's going to start to play very passive. Cambridge is very good at catching people off guard, finding flanks, pushing up to islands. You should get there relatively easily, assuming there's no carriers in the game. Notice we're getting quite lucky to not deal with carrier spotting. The spotting will be annoying. Your AA is okay. I wouldn't describe it as particularly powerful, though. Certainly not a defensive fire helping us out here. I would much prefer the Hydro for especially this kind of playstyle. But even with that, carrier planes are still going to get through, of course, so it's going to be a little bit tough for you in those scenarios, just even getting to the islands, because everybody will want to shoot this thing. It is not a large ship, but given how many battleships are able to overmatch you, you're going to be a very popular target for them to go after. Trying to deal with this Auckland here, as well as essentially the premium Cleveland over there. Balances on him, unfortunate, but we have the spots on him, and Conqueror, AP Conqueror? Yo, this guy, a connoisseur. Incredible. Very nice salvo. And now we get to go after the Cleveland clone here. And we're going to get a bunch of overpens. That is a downside here. It is exactly Alaska shells. So no shortened fuse times here on this AP. When those light cruisers go broadside, you might just end up with overpens, unfortunately. But it is a good thing still. Your HE has 51 millimeters of pen, so even though your HE is not all that impressive as far as DPM, especially compared to the more DPM-focused cruisers at your tier that have much smaller caliber guns, you have way more pen than them. 51 is a very important threshold to get over. Things like Libertad that have been released recently and have been terrorizing the server, well, you just get to full pen them everywhere with your HE. Where most ships are going to be shattering on everything but that very small superstructure. Really nice to have that here. 27% fire chance is decent. Still not incredible as a fire spammer, though. I really do think you should be mainly using this AP. You have a less than a 10-second reload on this AP. Alaska's base reload is at 20 seconds, by the way, if you're curious. So it's fully built. I'm comparing fully built Cambridge to stock Alaska, which is not particularly fair, but it is an interesting thing to compare. You only get 6 guns versus Alaska's 9. But considering how powerful, strong, popular, okay, we'll use Wargaming's term, Alaska's very popular for some reason. Maybe it's just really busted. This ship is better at the guns front. Just the guns are better than Alaska. Something I've been a little bit annoyed at when playing Alaska, you'll know this from the Black Friday videos whenever we take a look at Alaska. Then, I'm not a fan of its dispersion. I find it a little too inconsistent. Sound familiar from pretty much every single battle cruiser video that I ever make? Having cruiser dispersion is such a big deal here. I think I'm going to enjoy playing the Cambridge at tier 9. It is a little more selfish. We don't have that radar. That is the big downside here, but improved pen angle 305 that I can count on to hit my target where I'm aiming is an absolute blast to play. Having a super heal is nice too. It's not a especially good super heal considering we only heal back 50% pen damage, 33% citadel damage. So it's not going to last the entire game. Still gives us a lot of burst healing. Unfortunately, the price. That's what it comes down to here, is this ship is incredibly powerful and is incredibly expensive. That is an unfortunate combination to have, as this would be a very easy thing to recommend if you're interested in tier 9 heavier cruiser play. If you're someone who is frustrated with battle cruisers and their dispersion, but you want some of that impactful AP, definitely one to look out for is the Cambridge. Unfortunately, $138 is just way too much money. So I can't, in good conscience, recommend everybody goes buy this thing. If you're interested and you got a lot of spending money, you do your thing, man. Seriously, you do your thing and enjoy it. But this is a very, very expensive ship, and we got a couple more to take a look at here. Or perhaps I already did take a look at them. I'm not sure exactly the order in which I'm going to release this. This one probably comes second. Oh, I should also tell you about the premium income. That's almost 2 million credits off of that game. That's a premium account with blue boosters, by the way. And a tier 9 premium like this is going to get you a lot of credits. Now, before we take a look at the build that I was using for this ship, I do have to apologize for some confusion. You may have already noticed, but why did the HP bar look like a Japanese cruiser? Why did it look like that on the end score screen, as well as import here? Why is it a Japanese cruiser here? I don't know, man. I really don't understand why this is. This looks like a destroyer, and yet it's a battleship. This looks like a DD, and yet it's a battleship. This is like a gearing, but it's a different ship. This here looks like a Yu Yang, and yet it looks like a Shima. I don't understand what's going on here. Maybe this is okay, but it feels like we're getting a lot less development time from our devs on this game. And maybe this is too harsh a critique. Okay, that's fair. But doesn't this just look like a copy-pasted ship with a turret swap? Doesn't this just look like a copy-pasted Shima hull with a turret swap? This new line may have new models, all right? Some of this may look new. Protector, I mean, that looks like a hull that we already have, doesn't it? This also looks like a hull that we already have. Doesn't this one? Doesn't this one? Doesn't this one? Doesn't this one? Like, perhaps this is too harsh. But we're getting copy-paste ships with turret swaps and insane gimmicks here recently. And if you've seen the latest devlog, it just got announced today when I'm recording this video, by the way. But the upcoming ships, those German heavy cruiser line with the manual secondary control and a bunch of premiums listed below it, a lot of copy paste there. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why we're getting so much copy paste. It feels very weird. But that is my own criticism here. Perhaps that is going too far. Let's talk about this build more on Cambridge, though, if you're interested. I'd recommend running the concealment reload build. This ship is insane at closer ranges, and finding island cover to position this ship isn't too hard on most maps, but it's going to be challenging on a few maps here and there. Okinawa is certainly one of those. Ocean, if you get it, but that one's pretty rare too. And if there's carrier spotting, you're going to be singled out if you try to push up to those islands, because everybody's going to be playing further back. So I wouldn't blame you for going with range mod. You're still going to get great damage output. You go down to a 12.5 second reload. That is still very quick reload for improved accuracy 305s, cruiser dispersion 305s, the AP pen angles here improved as well. Still a very, very powerful ship there. I'd highly recommend running Hydro and concealment, prop mod, all this stuff. Definitely give these a go. As for the build here, perhaps a little greedily, I wanted to get outnumbered just to get myself even better accuracy from time to time. I didn't proc it too often though, and I forego just a flat 5% DPM buff if we're just shooting AP. I've already told you a bit about the healing, but Superintendent can be useful if you need a fourth suboptimal heal. Your first 2 heals probably will be optimal. You'll get 20,000 HP or whatever back from them. But your third probably won't be, and your fourth definitely won't be that optimized 20,000 HP back. And because of that, I think Survivability Expert is just more valuable. So if you only have 3 points left and you're choosing between Superintendent and Survivability Expert, that's why I went with Survivability Expert. Didn't get to use it much, but a little bit of AA for 2 points. I don't think we need a 1% extra fire chance. 29% up to 30%. Not going to be a huge difference. I believe that's normally 27%. I'm using flags, though, to boost it. Consumables enhancements, usually really good on these American cruisers. If you're bringing a commander over from American cruisers, you probably already have this for your radar duration. So this isn't a crucial one to have. Gunfeeder, of course, I think this is definitely the one to take, just because the HE is still very good, but we want to be swapping for those opportune AP salvos most of the time. Turret Traverse. Greasy Gears is recommended skill, by the way. This ship has a 22.5 second turret traverse. Salem, Tulsa, Des Moines, they all have a 30-second turret traverse on 203s. 305s get better turret traverse? Huh? How does that work? Not sure. Again, maybe some power creep going on here, but that is a very fast base turret traverse rate, so I didn't feel like I needed it to really make use of this ship. Definitely go aiming systems. Don't really ever go main battery mod 2 here on cruisers especially. Armor-wise, it is a problem. 27 everywhere is not great these days. If you run into 380mm gunned battleship or lower, then you can start doing some auto-bouncing stuff by angling in like this, and then you're very tanky. But most ships have 406s, even cruisers. You know, Viasma burst fired me. It's annoying, obviously. Experimental ships, very annoying. We got some more to take a look at, though, very soon, as you can see here. The Citadel is not all the way along the ship, though. I think that's what saved me against that Missouri Viasma burst, by the way. I don't think they really got Citadels into me. I got very fortunate that it was only full pens, and we could super heal through that. Your citadel is slightly above water, but only where the superstructure is. Where the turrets are, it won't be. I didn't mention it at the time, but in that first game in particular, using island cover to hide my ship up to this point, and I'll have only my front guns poking out. You got to remember that the point that gets your whole ship spotted is the bridge or like the highest point of your ship. So it's somewhere in here on our superstructure. So if I can put an island here to cover this much of my ship, I actually won't be spotted, even if all these guns are pointing out into open water. And that's what I was doing there to get shots on that Valparaiso without getting detected. Bit of a cheesy strategy, but you'll have to forgive me against a Valparaiso. 18-7 range is more than usable here. It's not like Tulsa or Des Moines where it's very slow shells, which are harder to hit. They're still not particularly fast, but you're still a lot faster than Des Moines shells. So don't feel bad if you just take range mod and want to relax. Okay, I'm not going to blame you for doing that either. And I think that's about it for Cambridge here. These first impressions. Looks like a very strong tier 9 cruiser with insane gun power, but lacking some utility. And if you're interested at all in this whole battle cruiser guns that are actually going to hit something, this one can sneak around the map very well too. I think it's a very fun ship to play. It's just very unfortunate that we're getting Admiral packs only. At least it's not gambling only. That is an improvement, Wargaming, if you're listening. Thank you. At least there is a way to buy it outright. That is a good thing. But can we at least maybe standardize to saying there's a regular bundle with just the ship, and then the Admiral bundle that adds a bunch of stuff extra for those who want it for more, and then sure, have your gambling one. If you could standardize it to that, that way everybody would know going in there's a new ship, premium ship being offered, that it's always available for the same 3 ways. That'd make my job a lot easier, and I think people would be a lot happier. I fear we're going to have a lot of disappointed or frustrated comments down below, and I don't blame you, by the way, don't blame you at all. But it sure feels like a lot of this stuff is very powerful, very unique or gimmick heavy, and it's very expensive to get a hold of. So I don't blame people for being frustrated that a lot of this stuff keeps coming out and it's way out of their price range. Consider that each update, you're gonna have to spend hundreds of dollars just to get each one of these things. That's a very expensive thing to do. And I'd prefer we don't go on another rant about the monetization of this game in every single video. So I'm going to stop it there. Let me know what you think in the comments down below about this Cambridge new Tier 9 cruiser with amazing guns. Thank you very much for watching and have a great rest of your day.